am Famine of Famine Studios. Oh, we're having ourselves a nice zero sugar Dr. Pepper because I want one. But we're working on what was supposed to be a Tachi Station gas station, which turned into a noodle house somehow, and now I am working on various accoutrements, adding things to the outside wall, the wall that's going to have the stove that I built for it. Obviously, it's going to get some paint and some staining. Hey, Bjorn. But we are working on things, and then also I found a lovely YouTuber who I will have to put her videos in the comments section or in the box after the chat. But she posted this really great way, very inexpensive, like use trash method to create vents, like for your builds. And I've got one made up there, and I've got one here. Focus up. Catch the light. There we go. But like that's going to be perfect on a wall as a vent. So I'll probably show those off in a separate video, but also I do want to link theirs because what a fantastic idea. Great way to use your scraps from like cutout kits. The foam, the corrugated foam, I know some people like to peel the paper off of, or not corrugated foam, my apologies, corrugated card and cardboard. I know sometimes people like to peel it off of there, or you can buy it, or sometimes things come packed in it and it's brown, or you can buy it from the craft store. I just happened to get a package of sheets and it's like $1 or $2, but it is the same corrugated paper packing material. And that's great for corrugated metal, but it also can, you know, clearly as we see, it can also make vents. So, but that's what we're up to this today. So I'm wearing one of my smock shirts, snowflake hair all over it because she had to climb up here and tell me how much she loved me by smothering me in fur. But I try not to, I'm trying to be better. You guys have seen me out myself of having gotten paint on most of my clothes, so I'm trying to be more consistent in wearing my painted shirts. Something, yeah. I think lead will walk the earth. I think Adam also did the metal through the toothpaste squeezer, the tube paint squeezer. I know some people also use that for their oil paints to squeeze it out of the metal tube. And you can make corrugated paper. But yeah, like I said, I'm just working on this noodle house. I got the faux floor in that's got a layer of veneer wood over top of paper. So it actually feels like a real wood floor, and it actually has wood in it. Some of the textured scrapbooking paper there. And then I also did it on this side and then painted it a different color just to cover up some of my own sloppiness. Also, let me see if I can't arrange this light a little better. There we go. And so I attached this piece from an Imaginext Batman thing. Added some greeblies, added some strapping out of cardstock just from a cereal box. Excuse me, guys. Filled in some of the negative spaces with greeblies, and I put a droid head on the top. I had to pop it off and make some adjustments, and I just glued it back on today, so we're going to make another collar to correct that gap. But I'm pretty happy with how this thing's turning out. And on the top, I added like some vents and almost like a little skylight thing like you'd see on a building. You know, just a little bit more to add to the like, oh, there's an exhaust there and there's a vent, you know, it's letting something escape from the top or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. It's world building details. So that's what we are working on. And again, for those that missed it, what's up, Ian? Just the little stove I made inside for cooking the, you know, the broth and the noodle soup and everything. Right now it's just got a base coat of Mod Podge, black paint and some gunmetal and shining silver dry brushing on it just to give it the metallics. So when I start to paint and detail it and add the staining, it has a nice undercoat of metal. This is a piece of one of those LOL doll houses, but it actually is the exact distance of the stove. So I'm gonna mount it up on the wall as like some sort of part of the exhaust system to suck the steam out and have it come out the chimney on the top. I've been working on just repurposing some little craft and doll bowls into plates and little dishes and stuff so that when I start to populate it with food, I have something to put them on. And I actually plan on sculpting a lot of that food. I want to get some sculpting practice in. One of the tankards that came with black chrysanthemum, because I got so many of them when they were on cheap on clearance, I took the handle off and I turned it upside down, and I'm going to paint this silver and put a bunch of like chopsticks in there and maybe a couple of ladles to have in the kitchen as like a container full of serving tools, just to add, you know, realism and whatnot. And then I also did, which my patrons saw, I did a little quickie how-to of covering a box in like a tarp or fabric to make it look world lived in. Probably gonna get a wash on this now that it's all cured up, but just a 3D print covered in actual cloth, and I pushed it in to make sure I got the creases. Coated it with Mod Podge multiple times so that it's nice and durable, and then dry brushed. Actually, I painted the color, the exact color of the cloth. I don't know why I did that. And then just dry brushed the areas of where it would wear and pick up dust. And so, like I said, probably give it a wash and then seal it up one more time with Mod Podge just for the sake of durability. But it doesn't need to be in this. That was my original plan, but it can also be sitting outside. You can put these all around your stations, your worlds, your dioramas. If you're a Jurassic person and you have an InGen base, you could cover things with a tarp, make it look like there's more of stuff than you have. So, fun little project. But yeah, working on the kitchen, working on this thing. So I think right now I'm gonna go ahead and make a new collar for this droid out of some foam. Now I have, yeah, I'll recycle. I was, like I said, I was making those vents earlier. And so I've got some cut EVA foam here, which is fine. And I'll just use this to make the collar, and then I'll cure it up a little bit with some super glue just to make it really rigid. But I'll go ahead and put it right there on the base of that. Oop. Okay. And just follow it around. Don't need to stretch it or anything. Just need to push it into the space around the neck. And make sure that I put my hands in it when I'm showing you guys what I'm doing, right in the way. And now I've got it past that. I'm going to get in here with a very sharp blade, cut it, and then just use the tip of said sharp blade to push the two edges together. And now, ladies and kids, ladies and germs, everybody in between and beyond, we got a little collar on there just to cover that gap. A little wavy, but whatever. It's outer space. It don't need to be perfect. And it is gimmick, so. But yeah, now we've got that on there, and I'll go through. I'll go back over it with Mod Podge and super glue, like I said. In fact, I'll do a little bit of super glue right now, just to make sure that this bad boy is on here forever. And if I do seem kind of low energy today, that is not for a lack of trying. Yesterday was my wonderful, wonderful girlfriend's housewarming party, and it was a blast, but I had too much enrichment outside of my enclosure. But it was great to see friends, make some new friends. There were a couple people, you know, that I didn't get to spend a lot of time with before. Now I did, and had a really good time. Got to see some of her family members. Got to see some of Jason's. Got to see Jason's folks. So it was a good time. But yeah, man, I am fucking pooped. But I also had this little artistic spark, and I wanted to fiddle on a project that was just continuing a project instead of starting a whole new one. So of course the first thing I did was make vents brand new. But yeah, there we go. That bad boy is super glued on there. East not going anywhere. Add a little bit on this side too, because it looks like the dribble of super glue that I put on there made it to a certain spot and just stopped. And to the defense of EVA foam soaks up super glue like you wouldn't believe. So if you ever need to like bond two pieces that are hard to bond and you've tried scuffing it up and all the other, you know, classic tricks that you use to adhere them, go ahead and stick a wedge of EVA foam between the two and super glue each side. That bitch will stay together. Very good. Where's the cap? This is something I'm working with myself on. One of those things to make me waste less as I go ahead and waste a paper towel. Well, not waste, I'll still use it, but like putting the glue away, cleaning the glue tip off so that it doesn't crust up inside of the cap and lock me out of glue that I would otherwise use, which I've done to myself a million times. So we'll let that dry. Let's get some detailing done on this stove thing here. I want to put, I'm thinking like a red on the stove, on the metal. Make it look like it was painted up red at one point. So I'm not going to do like perfect lines to the edge or anything. We're going to work and just make it look like some metal that was maybe put together or snapped onto the front of this stove, because, you know, a lot of gimmick is DIY or, you know, pulled out of ships, pulled out of scrap salvage, gone out into the desert and found pieces of, you know, people come in and trade from other areas and they bring materials. So let's do that. We'll go with this very bright red that I like. It's an air paint for Vallejo, but it's their red, and it works really well on the Jurassic Park Jeeps, which is why I initially bought it. But man, it's just become a favorite color red of mine in painting, so I'm gonna go ahead and use that. Be wise and put a piece of card underneath there. Straighten that out for a second. And just get myself a brush that I want to use. You look like a paintbrush that I want to use. Nice little one. Nice little, almost a chisel tip. Flat. It says it's flat. So that'll work. Check out the chat. Bjorn, Audi, what's up, man? I thought you died. I thought you died and went to prison, and other rumors that I started. I mean, heard. Totally heard. Didn't start rumors. So because this is air paint, like I said, it's thinner. That's why I put that piece of cardboard under there so it doesn't soak all the way through the other side of the paper towel, and I can just keep using it. Not yet. Well, I'm glad you're here. Your channel is still hosting Into the Toy Box, right? Bob will still be using your channel, or should we be following Bob so that we see the show tonight at 7 p.m.? Now, my thought process of keeping paint away from the edge of the bottom and doing a little more weathering down there is twofold, right? So, gravity, tune in to find out. Ooh, spooky, spooky. You'll be on it too. Oh, okay. I thought you were all done. This is some shit, man. It's like an Italian good. This is like the end of every episode of WMC lately, where it's just it goes on forever. I gotta make fun of the show I'm on, or else I'm not. You know, oh, you're mean, making fun of other people's shows. No, buddy, I'm making fun of my show. But yeah, so two things is one, gravity. You know, if paint flakes or whatever down there, it's gonna fall to the floor. But number two, when you sweep and clean up, your brush is gonna be swiping across there, and it'll add just, you know, it'll eventually wear down on things. So less red on the bottom than on the top. Also do that over here. He says he's milking it. Yeah, Josh really likes to milk those dinosaurs. I'm not... I've called some people about that. I don't know if anything will come of it, but... That guy loves to milk his dinosaurs. Okay. So again, we've got red around there. Now we're going to do the front. I wonder if the dinosaurs get like you know, clone trooper style flashbacks when they hear, you know, it's like it's milking time. And they're like, "Oh no, not again. Please not again." So we got a nice coat of red on there. I might go one more and let that dry for a hot second. We're gonna let that dry. There we go. I gotta put that on camera. I don't know why. Just so y'all could see what I was working on. But yeah, I also figured out how I'm gonna be doing my ladle. I think I can do that right now. Is I cut a piece of dowel. You could use a toothpick, and I kind of carved away at it just to give the handle a much more like wood look, because I want it to be a wooden handled ladle. And then for the bowl of the ladle, I'm going to use one of these half sphere beads. And I'm thinking, just don't want to do a giant, like too cartoony, but also like don't want it too small. Yeah, we'll do one of these. We'll use one of these bad boys here and put those away. We'll actually use the back of the spoon as the connection point. Sand it down a little bit just to get a good grip, get some gription. We'll do the same here. Just scuff that up. And then we'll take a tiny drop of super glue. Boop. Right on there. Tiniest drop on there. You can't even see it from, well, maybe you guys can see it. Yeah, doesn't matter. And then I'm going to come here. Once it sticks, it's a little ladle. And I'm going to let that dry. Let that really dry. And then we can trim the handle a little bit, or maybe customize the handle or whatever. Put a little more super glue on there as like a sealant, and then scuff it up and paint it silver because I want that. Or maybe I'll paint it to look like wood. I don't know yet, because I like the idea of a wooden handle. Like, as again, real wood in Gimmick is sparse. There is fake wood. But when you have something that's real wood, you always try and like utilize it and show it off as a status symbol. And like, what better way for a food place to serve things in wooden bowls and have like a wooden serving spoon, even if the handle is just wood. Like, that's, oh, that's very fancy there. You know, they were able to obtain this wealth and have these things, and then people come and get food and it feels fancy because you're eating out of a wooden bowl. Despite the obvious trappings of this place. All right, so let's, while we're letting that dry, put that right there. Again, we'll let that dry in camera. We'll do one more like pass in this red. A couple of spots. Who knows, maybe it's been painted a couple of times before. But it's like you've been into to restaurants, or if you've ever seen a kitchen on a street cart, you know, they get banged up. They get roughed up and need to be taken care of. But sometimes the place, they just make so much money doing the food that the appearance of the stove doesn't really matter as long as the food's good. Okay. Just some high points. A couple little blows. Cool. So now that's drying as well. Gotta be losing my mind. There we go. Better, much more better. So let's clean that off. Excuse me, because now we're gonna do some thinking black, just on this bar here, the control bar where all the knobs and switches are. I think think that'll help the knobs stand out more. And this should be one pass because this paint is thicker and it's not an airbrush paint. It's not nearly as runny. It's just regular Army Painter matte black. It's Matthew Black, as I like to call it, because it's not the word matte, M-A-T-T-E. It is matte, M-A-T-T, like somebody's name. So, you know, call him by his official government name. Good old Matthew Black. As I paint this, I am curious what everybody's up to today, whatever time this is. I don't know. I just work here. Do you have anything exciting going on this weekend? Or did you do anything exciting this weekend? And if you are new to the channel, aside from the liking and subscribing and the things, all the links in the bio there, in the comment section, how'd you find the channel? What brought you here? Sound off. A little bit of lore. The fake wood is a plastic material. And poor life choices is how you wind up here. No, that's fair. Or do you mean you made poor life choices this weekend? Either way, same. Okay. So we've got a good coat of black on there. I left a little bit of silver exposed around some of the knobs because, you know, paint wear, paint rub. You touch the same thing a million times, you're gonna eventually wear down the surface finish. And especially if you like grab the button with your tongs or whatever, turn it on or turn it off. Just little things. And those buttons will obviously get some paint on them for character. But they all do something different for the stove. What that is, I don't know. I'm not the cook, so I'm just the guy who builds the stuff for the little people. And I'm not going to give that bit of lore away yet as to what the wood situation is, why wood is rare, but just note at this time that wood is rare around Gimmick. Even the plants that they grow, even like the trees and stuff, like it tends to be very pulpy plant life. It's not, what's the word I want to use? It's not really strong wood. It's very fibrous and just grows for oxygenating purposes to like clean air, because some of these plants really love to just scrub air and clean it, because that's, you know, what plants do around here. And because of that, they are valuable, but nobody's really growing any trees or anything like that. And also trees need a lot of nutrients to grow big and dense, and this soil in Gimmick has to basically be doctored and treated to really grow anything in it. So there's like plant food that has to be used. That's why wealthier places have plants in there, you know, as like a sign of, again, showing off your money, but also like helping clear the air. The city does have a couple of things in their cleaning system for the air quality, especially in the city part where there's like streets and stuff where there's bigger plants that are growing and scrubbing out the air for their filters. But as far as trees and stuff go in Gimmick and why there's none there, I don't want to get too much into that lore right now, but it's a surprise for later, kids. Let's do one button. Let's do white on the knobs, I think. Just make them stand out a little bit. One of them will be red, and obviously like that's the igniter button. So we'll do that right now. That sounds like a plan to me. Just a little bit, ooh, a little bit more. Of course, that's freaking, okay, it's the freaking white paint is always freaking like, it's just always like, oh, I'm white paint. I'm gonna be hardened in the container. So that Famine has to always manufacture like a little device to puncture me and open me up. Ooh, woo. There we go. Open that up. Just a little bit of white paint. Put that away. And just go ahead and brush it on the knob face. And we'll dry brush it around the button or the handle. Obviously, I'm not going to paint the stem of the switch white because has no need to be white, so they wouldn't put paint on that. White. And then I am going to put white on this button, which is going to be the igniter. But that's just so when I put the red on, it stands out a little bit more. You'll see. You'll see the plan. You'll see the vision. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Trying to see if I can whittle down my 3 favorite toy responses to Pirates Instapost. Pirates of the Galaxy. Or is Pirates of the Caribbean doing something cool that I don't know about? I'm just taking the pearlescent shine off of this pearl the best I can, this half hemisphere that we used for the ladle. Just going to make painting it a touch easier. Scotch or sand the inside, and then I think right here, because like, yeah, I'm thinking right there is where I'm going to cut this. So sneap, and then sand that a little bit, and we will cut a piece of wire. So I have these to cut wire, and then these are all for like plastic and wood. Alright, so I'll try something. And you know, it's always good to just try it on your actual like finished, almost finished product. But I'm gonna take this opportunity to do just that. Grab a drill bit that is smaller than the diameter of the piece of material that I'm working with. Gonna give it a flat bottom. I'm gonna try to just make a teeny tiny little, I don't know, not even a deep hole. I just need it deep enough so that when I insert the wire there, it's got something to sink a little bit into and to grip instead of just flat surface to flat surface. Ouch. Ooh, got myself. It's okay, I'm not bleeding. That might work. Alright. So, where is that? Where are those pliers? Oh well. Kind of shows this, the kind of show that you're getting for free, buddy. Okay. I'm gonna see if I can't sharpen that a little into a point. Nope. All right. There we go. Just a little something to kind of hold it up. And then, if I want to get really fancy, nope, too short. All right, well, I don't want to get too fancy then, that's all. That's all that legally means. All right, let's put this away. And again, I just made a little dip. I probably could have done that with like a pen tip, just push the pen tip into the soft wood. And gonna place super glue there. Then I'm gonna take this thing that I'm holding, this little hook. I'm gonna put some kicker on there. And then just try and, nope, don't want to mate. Nope, too thin. Okay, the super glue ran down the thing, and now it's glued to my hand. So, try this one more time. I guess I'm just gonna have to hold it. Oop, oop. That's part of that problem, is too much super glue. So, paper leach a little bit off. Still running down the thing. It's all right. Okay, oh. There we go. It's not gonna stay, but it gives me an excuse to do this. 100% pure uncut Colombian baking powder. Baking soda, excuse me. Soda bicarb if you're from the UK. Okay. A little bit on there. Okay. Let that finish curing. But yeah, that kicks that super glue. Okay. And then we're just gonna sand that little bugger. Nope. Ah, see? My shit's a lot of trial and error, guys. I'm thinking I may need to sink this into a bead or something to make it adhere the way I want. But I'm gonna, in classic famine style, try one more time. The way that I think it should work before I move on, because sometimes I get ahead of myself and I forget a step, and doing it 15 times teaches me a lesson. And what that lesson is, I don't know. And I guess we'll find out together. I wonder. Wonder what's in a wonder ball? If I just did this. It's just a little piece of plastic that I have. Once again, put a drop of super glue on here. Whoop. I take this little bead that I've made, essentially. Of course. There we go. Okay. So now I've got a little piece of plastic on there. Actually want to get that down a little flatter. Plastic. Clean this off. Okay. There's that. Boy, the super glue likes to come out fucking fast. Wow. Okay. Let me just do this. All right. Now I'm not going to touch that for a bit. I'm going to let the super glue do its job. As you can tell, I am bouncing around, and that is just to make my life easier a little bit. And it allows me to think of the other parts of the product, or parts of the project, I should say. You just stay over there and do your drying bit. Put these back. All right, I think we need to start adding a little bit of rusting, but we're going to use wrought iron. I think that's a really good color for like space stove stuff. So do that. Let's see what's in the chat. Who's ready for Alien Earth this week? Oh, of course. What's up, Triple D? I'm easy. I'm probably gonna enjoy it no matter what. Which it really makes a lot of strangers on the internet mad if you like something that they feel is not correct, or they feel it should be a certain way, which is absolutely crazy to me. Now I could see being mad if it was like, oh, we're doing an alien show and it's going to be rated PG and it's going to retcon the entire history of the franchise. We're going to make it for kids. Like, yeah, I could see being like absolutely fucking furious about. Like, how dare you? How dare you? But it's like some shows I'm going to like, and I like a lot of stuff, you know? It just, I find I am less crabby about the things I like when I realize that some of the stuff isn't for me, but also I can find a lot of enjoyable things in those types of products or those types of situations where it's like, hey, I like this thing, and I thought this was cool and that was cool, and someone will be like, no, blah blah blah, you're wrong, and I'm like, kind of like turning into Lebowski, where I'm just like, well, that's just like your opinion, man. But also, there are ways they could fuck it up. But I want to know if, you know, this isn't a spoiler if you've seen any of the marketing or commercials or anything, but I want to know what's up with that space alien goat. because that has my full and undivided attention. And I like the wrought iron because it's got almost like a purpley brown color to it. It's the best way I could describe it. And it picks up light in a neat way, and it just really makes this look exciting for me. Okay. Snowflake, I hear you playing with paper over there. You having a good time? And I'm putting wrought iron on the grate in almost like an oval pattern, because the center of the stove, if you've ever cooked on like a big steel grate before, like at a camp, and you cook a lot in one spot, you'll see that the metal gets worn down and polished from the pot moving around, but the areas where it doesn't will like pick up rust or weathering. So I'll show you guys that. So I'm kind of just creating an oval of worn surface, and any of the high spots that I hit with that silver, I'm leaving that silver to show through, like that's where the cook scraped against it, and that's where the, you know, the cook, his tongs maybe scrape against the stove when he's leaning over to scoop out the soup. Like there's a million ways to interpret that part of the design, but that's how I see it in my head. And therefore, that's how I'm going to create it in my little build here. And it's a great, just a little great little level of detail. And you want to especially have that in the back, because that's going to get the least amount of play, the least amount of action on the stovetop. And then here, because the top of the stove, this rack above, you know, maybe that's just where they place things to keep them warm or keep it hot but out of the way until they need it. That's going to have less worn down metal, probably more towards the center, but we'll leave some of it there just to show that that's been used. And I like that. I like that effect a lot. Yes, Snowflake. Are you being roly-poly cute over there? Yeah, you are. Yeah, was somebody taking a nap in your spot? Yeah, you good girl. You're so beautiful. Snowflake says hello, everybody. So now we're starting to get like a stove, like a food truck stove, messy with the different levels of wear in the metal. And I'm liking that. But now we're going to need to add some like food stains, a little bit of rust towards maybe the bottom. But it's starting to look realistic, and which is what I want. So let's think about food stains here. I'm going to be making a lot of soups and broths. So I'm thinking, gotta have like some yellow. So let's do a little bit of sand yellow. Because it's like, it's fucking, it's outer space, man. We're making space noodles here. Do you not have space noodles in your home? Do you not eat strange noodles? I do. I'll eat most things in a soup. One that I don't do is seafood chowder. I've tried it a few times, but if there's a lot of fish in there, specifically like a whitefish, not for me. Not for me. I do like, you know, if it's a seafood chowder and you're like, oh, it's got scallops and clams and whatnot, I'll give that a try. Fuck, throw some noodles and some broth with some of that stuff, absolutely. But when it gets to gets like, oh, there's fish in here and yada yada yada, I'm just not for me. Just a little bit of the yellow on there. I think that needs a little more yellow. That yellow dried up fast. I also took 45 minutes to clean the brush, so. Is this yellow empty? Oh, that may have something to do with it. Goodbye, yellow container. Oh, yeah, that's barely wet. So we'll just... a little bit of that on there. Some down there. It's subtle, right? That yellow in there is subtle, but it does pick up. And that's what I want. You could spill shit. Maybe some stuff gets on the apron, gets rubbed off on there. That's cool. All right, and we'll do a green. Oh, yeah. So I was gonna say let's do a blue, but I do recognize there's a lot of blue in Gimmick, and I'm not a big fan of the color blue. Son of a beach. I think me and Steve Vallejo, we need to have a conversation about their paints and why the motherfucking paints dry inside of the nozzle of the bowl. Like in theory, Steve Vallejo, I should just be able to open it up and get a little bit out and move on with my life. No, sir. No, you took that joy away from me. You said, I think these people need to learn. You people take these things for granted. And I said, Steve Vallejo, the fuck do you mean by you people? Just a little bit. You can see there's a couple of spatters there. Thanks to our buddy Steve Vallejo. This is how I guarantee I never get sponsored by Vallejo Paints. Flapping my guns. Zilla Beast. Oh, what's up, Zilla? Is that the same paper from the last box I sent? Same paper. No, the paper you... Or, oh, you mean the snowflake sleeping on? Yeah. Yeah, dude, I actually gave her another piece from a package, and she kind of, like, moved it over there like it was part of her nesting material. But she's stuck primarily to the stuff that you sent in the package. Yeah, looks like a Space Cook Service. I left the inside empty and silvery. I can also put some silver tape in there and put a tea light in, and it looks like there's a little flame, but I'm not doing that right now because it sounds a lot like work. So while that kind of dries up, I'm pivot back to this little ladle that we worked on here. Let me grab a new sanding stick. Come here, you son of a bit. There we go. New sanding stick. Make an adjustment in my chair here. Get a little DP in me. Yes, I just said get a little DP in me. Zilla, I haven't made any noodles yet, but there will be. There will be. And the whole point of me adding that little hook is just so I could do shit like that, which you'll see, like right next to a serving pot is a hanging scoop or something, and then you just pick it up, make your scoop, dump it in the thing, hang your tool back up. So I adore little odd choices like that and little details like that. So that's why I'm spending just what's to some people a stupid amount of time on this. But and to some extent myself, I feel like this is a stupid amount of time to spend on something so small, but it makes me happy. And it's a neat little detail. So I can remind myself from time to time that when I do like a quick kit bash and I say to myself, like, it doesn't seem like you're putting a lot of effort into that, or whatever it is, that voice that gets inside my head and tells me that I'm not doing enough, or my imposter syndrome kicks up and it's like, yeah, but you blah, 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 blah. I can always refer back to this and be like, yeah. But also, I made a realistic little hanging ladle that can hang on a, can hang on a thing. I could have 3D printed that, or I could have bought a dollhouse miniature, or done a million things to make that little ladle, but instead I made it on my own, because I'm fucking crazy, apparently. Excuse me. But let's get our black paint out. Well, no, let's not get our black paint. Well, yeah, let's get our black paint out. Oh, look, black paint. We're going to prime this thing, except for the hook. I'm going to paint it to look like wood. Bloop. Oh, maybe that's got something to do with all my problems. Clean that off. Zilla, I was talking shit earlier about you. I can't remember what it was, but it was funny. Meg heard it and she snorted. Under Amrock trying to light the lower level. Follow the dopamine. Yeah, no, it's you know, it's something I'm sure we all have in one way or another. That imposter syndrome may creep in from time to time, whether it's at home or at work or whatever. It's just for me. Sometimes when I do something immensely easy, or easy for me, I might think to myself, like, boy, that was too easy, and it shows a lack of effort, even though it doesn't. I'm not saying that the voice is right or valid, but it does happen. And so now I have something to look back on, just in little projects like this, where I come on my lives and I hang out and shoot the shit and make tiny things, And I can go, yeah, you know, I may have just head swapped that guy, gave him a little weathering and put him in the diorama. But also, I do a lot of things for gimmick that are above and beyond, such as painting a tiny little ladle, carving the handle out of a rod, attaching plastic, and making what's essentially Bondo to attach a metal hook to it. A little actual angled metal hook so that I can hang it places, and yeah, it looks cool. If I keep dropping it, that's just, you know, that's just me. All right. Here I am talking all this shit that the thing can hang, and then every time I try and hook it on something, I keep dropping it. Ha, there we go. It's hanging on there to dry. Good enough. So now we can come back here and worry about a little more character on these buttons. Let's see here. We're going to use you. We're going to use a tiny little point. That's supposed to be flat. I don't believe you're flat for a second. It's got that sleeper paintbrush build. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm saying. There we go. All right. So let's get we'll do yellow. Won't do red for the knob. We'll do yellow. I'm just going to do this one with the yellow paint. Okay. And then we're going to switch to paint markers because I can. And I'll give this guy, nope, that's not the one I want. This one. Give this guy a little notch there, little notch there. Some type of information there. And then just a little chipped up red on there. Add some character. And then for the other buttons, I think we will go with silver. There we go. Because they get used an awful lot. Same with that guy. And a little on that guy, but I think just to make them pop even more, put a dot right in the center of that guy. Oop. Okay. Cool. Little stove knobs. Yeah. I think I need to put a perimeter of red around this button because the yellow on the white looks far too much like an egg for me. It just looks like an egg button. Like, you know, press button for egg. So I'm just gonna put it right around there. Instead of white. That's hilarious. What, your stove at home doesn't have an egg button? There we go. And we'll just chase that line up. Cool. All right. Let that dry. I know I'm gonna need a little some type of little service, like a surface table, like something, I don't know, something that sits on the side. But I'm not sure where I want this to live yet, so just gonna pop that down. I know it's gonna be on this side because that's the side that I want it on. That much I've decided on. Say side again, family. I know there's gonna be a serving counter from here over. Just like that. I do want to have some shelves inside here with like ingredients so they can grab from, and a cash register. I thought about, I don't want to put a back on this, right? I like the idea of it being open, but at the same time, I feel like I could do some really cool stuff with a back on there. That is to be determined. If I do put it on, I probably just put tape around the bottom so that I could always fold it open and take it off if I want to do a shoot looking through this way towards the customers, but I don't know. You know what I can do while I've got this black paint out is clean off a brush. That's step one. I think I'm going to take all my brushes and wash them tonight. Shampoo them. I'll load up this brush. I'll just go over this droid everywhere that I rubbed off paint. Yeah, no. That black ain't doing it. Ew. Gross. That made a big gross bubble. There we go. We'll be able to paint over this again once it's dry. But we want to get all that foam covered up. Let it saturate the foam material and the paper, even though that paper's been sealed. Whatever, I'm sure I didn't do a good enough job sealing it, so it'll absorb some of the paint, which will help. So no matter what, we all win. Also, thanks, good ratio on the likes to viewers, guys. And if you're one of the people that are here and you haven't hit the like button, please do me that favor. Also, if you click the share Just copy the link. You don't actually have to send it to anybody. I mean, that'd be great. Send it to somebody who might watch, but like your enemies, you could also send it to them. But when you copy it, that tells the algorithmic gods to show more people the fact that I am live, people beyond that are subscribed to me. And that will allow YouTube to tell more people about me, which will allow more people to come see the video, and we can have new friends in the chat. So again, you don't have to. It's just that would be helpful. I enjoy it. So thank you, thank you. Just getting this paint in there, and all them crevices and crevasses and creaks and cricks and crannies and nooks. And I am going to use this, want to use this one? No, that's too big. So I'm going to go ahead and use this vent that I made earlier today before I came on the live. Just do one thing. See? I managed to super glue the lid shut. Here we go. Get that glue off of me. But yeah, this is a piece of plastic off of a bottle that was holding something on the side of an olive oil bottle. That weird figure 8 is the plastic. The back is just corrugated cardboard stock. Again, it's the same stuff that like you get as packaging too. In packaging, I should say. And a piece of foam around. You could do a piece of wire or ribbon or cardstock. You could cut a piece of cardstock out and glue it on. And then I just put a little foam rivet there because I could. So yeah, I'm going to seal this with Mod Podge first. And then we'll paint it and weather it and stick it on the side of that. Because again, this is the side where all the science of weird space food happens. I don't know. Ventilation, degradation. I don't know what the cook's kink is. Emancipation Proclamation. Who's to say? But, and you know what? I'll Mod Podge the other one as well over here. Again, same principle. Cardboard offcut from a Jason Jensen project, actually. I threw some half spherical rivets on there, corrugated card behind it, and foam for the edge. So just gonna get some Mod Podge here. Make sure I get it in between all the ridges on the corrugated part first, because that's the part that's really going to soak up any paints when we do it, and we don't want it to soak up the paint. We want the paint to adhere to it. And then the same principle goes for the plastic and the foam. But so we'll go over it all. We will get the whole thing. As you can see, it's just a matter of getting that on there all the way around. Cool, cool, cool. Let's set that down to dry. Oh, I see a spot I missed. And if you want to be extra fancy, as the Mod Podge dries on the plastic or cardstock or whatever you use for like the frame of the vent, just stipple your brush, adds a little texture. Look, YouTube creators, I don't need 3 AI-powered features on YouTube Shorts. I knew it was too good to be true, that they were like, oh, we're syncing all AI-generated slop content. And I was like, wow, how brave. Good for you. No, they were just waiting to roll out their own. So you can make AI slop content from their stuff and be monetized, I guess. But Real artists will prevail, hopefully. God, I hope so. Because, this shit don't pay the bills. It'd be nice if it did. It doesn't. Eventually, I'm sure that I will get there one way or another through hard work. But, yeah. I could always I could also just turn out to be an AI slot maker. That way I don't have to work the 9-to-5 job. I can just tell the computer what I want it to do with other people's work, and then it'll make it into a nice little video for me, and then I can monetize that and yeah, use that same monotone voice. Did you know that when this movie was made, these actors did not even know each other? It wasn't until they were on set that they connected. They've been friends now for 44 years. And that's why I always wonder, did you know that these actors did not know each other? And it's just a whole thing. What do you think, guys? Is that the type of content you want out of me? Glitch Lab. What you working on? Imperial Tech Shop. How's it going? How's it going? Has a burn you button. That's why you don't cook. Ah, yeah, you gotta be careful on those stoves. I am currently working on making some vents for my little sci-fi noodle hut here. I'm gonna again share the YouTuber whose channel I gleaned this brilliant information off of. But just use whatever your cutout is for the frame, back it with corrugated cardboard, which you can get out of packaging. You can literally pull apart a piece of cardboard to get it, and then cover the edges up with foam. You could also use like a cereal box or something, but it makes a nice little vent when it's all cured and dried. And so that's what I'm gonna put on here. Put it on the side of my noodle house. Space noodles. Probably gonna position it just like that too. Although, it would be interesting. Right. Nah. We'll do it the up and down way. I think that's best for business. So let that dry. And we have the little stove. And I made a tiny little ladle with a hook for hanging on the back end. So we are cruising now. Ouch. Ow. I actually think I'm gonna go ahead and I'll let that cure there. That can sit for a hot minute. Guess I could start putting black on this so I can start weathering it and making this ready for, I put more black on it. I already did put black paint on it one time, but get it ready for more paint. This again was one of those LOL dolls, like pieces of the shipping container, and then I put a piece of rod in there, wooden rod, just to give it a little extra something, I don't know. And yeah, it's gonna be an exhaust type thing, and I left the end open so I can run a hose or a wire through it to make it look like it leads somewhere, maybe up to the ceiling where those vents are. I don't know. It's a science fiction noodle place. Doesn't have to make a ton of sense, but I do like to have my things, if something's got a spot to exhaust and there's a port that's exhausting somewhere, I like to have a hose or a duct, a channel that leads right up to it. Yeah, no, and to answer your statement about the AI slop, yeah. I can't believe I can't believe that I didn't think that, but also like I was so hopeful. I was like, oh wow, that's really brave. That's maybe they really understand that the art is from the artist and not the fucking, you when bots are looking for AI, they see other AI, maybe they're not watching those videos. Maybe they're beginning to realize that even though yeah, it's their monetization of the actual artwork being created by people is the way to stay. Nope. Negative. Nar. They got me. They got me good on that one. I think this is the shelf I'm going to use for the back wall. It's, again, kind of keeping of that. It's a wooden-backed shelf. It actually was from a crate. You can see. It's got, like, fake wood texture and everything. But I think that'll be cool, and I can populate it with little stuff, little seasoning bottles and things that I'll make. Yeah. But I will give this a quick pass of weathering to, like, make the details pop. Because sometimes in life, that's what you need. You need to just weather the interior or something. And then wipe a lot of it out and leave it in there. And you're like, damn, that really looks like some weathering. That's pretty incredible. You've done a great job, fam, and you should be proud. I'm like, oh, you. They're like, no, really, here's 20 bucks. You're the best. I'm like, wow, guys, thank you so much. I don't know what to say. And then we hold hands. I think that's what you're supposed to do. I don't know. The last person to pay me $20 asked me that they told me the $20 was for hand holding, so I held their hand. I don't know. Is that a thing? Is that what we do? And for whatever reason, the strange person that paid me $20 to hold their hand kept calling me Sugar Baby. So I don't know. I thought that was a weird nickname, but okay. Very strange. My Julia Roberts. I am Pretty Woman. That's one I'm surprised that nobody has remade. But I think it also has to do with there's less stigma on, well, simultaneously there's less stigma on S work. Well, ultimately a lot of hatred for S work. So for those types of creators that make content on those platforms, there's a lot of hatred towards them, even though they're lucrative. So that should tell you something. And I just think that there's a whole different attitude in it in the world, and I just don't think that a remake of that would work out too well. Then again, I've been wrong before. Okay. Just a messy little shelf, a little bit of weathering. I thought about like maybe weathering a little more like brown on the outside to really sell the woodness, but also it appears that only the back is wood. So maybe on the outside I'll just do like a Ooh, I'll do it in an olive green, or an olive gray, or whatever freaking color this is, like a military chest. Yeah. Yeah, no, they're for sure. They for sure do not like that. But that's a thing for people. Very upsetting for them. They have a rough day. What do you mean people have body autonomy and can do what they want with it? I don't like that at all. Well, Jerry Ann, nobody asked you if you liked it. But yeah, I don't see them ever remaking Pretty Woman. Unless it's like some weird commentary on society where Richard Gere is like 10,000 years old. And, well, not really 10,000 years old. You know what I'm trying to say. But he's an old man now and he's trying to pick up a new bride that way. But it turns out that there's a lot less of that anymore than he thinks, and he strikes out. He has to come to terms with how society has changed since his days of picking up Julia Roberts and putting her in a dress and giving her a bath. Right? It's probably he does, right? He like lets her use the bathroom, or not the bathroom, but like the bathtub and the hotel and all this other stuff. It's quite literally been like 20 years since I've seen that movie, which is a weird sentence to say out loud. I don't like it. Um, but like, yeah, I feel like that's what happened. And to be fair, that movie only would have worked with those two, um, Richard Gere and Julia Roberts. I don't think that if it was like Hugh Grant, which I still can't for the life of me, I cannot for the life of me figure out how anybody in the world was convinced that that man was handsome enough to carry movies where he was the romantic lead. I handsome and it, like he wasn't even funny. I don't know. It's just me. Maybe it's got to be just me because he made a lot of money doing that, and they kept putting him in stuff. But yeah, it didn't make any goddamn sense to me. Bless you, Quinn. Just heard Quinny sneeze. Bless you again. Do cats understand what we mean when we say bless you or excuse you when they sneeze or something like that? No. Still feels impolite not to say something. Oh no, I don't know anything about his personal life. I'm just saying I just never thought he was handsome or funny, and they just kept putting him in everything in the 90s and like tried to sell him as like the sexiest man alive and all this other stuff, and it's like I don't see it. And again, I obviously wasn't the target audience on that one, but it never, that one never made sense to me. A lot of them did. It's like, oh, okay, that guy's a really stunning looking musician, and you know, he pets puppies and shit, and like people love that. Okay, cool, but Hugh Grant made no sense. Didn't make a lick of sense. And that's the thing is like anybody. Look at Eddie Murphy. He had his scandals in life and just went away for a little bit and came back when everybody clamored for him, and now he's beloved in Hollywood again. I think that's the trick is you have to take a cool down period and go away. Yep, Quinny agrees. Can hear him in the other room. But you just take a cool down period, and then everybody wants you back, and you know you're famous again, or you're still famous, whatever, however you want to phrase that, because I don't know how. Hell, you could be Lawrence Taylor and get a job in the White House around children. That one pissed me right off, and as a Giants fan, when he did what he did, pissed me right off too. And I use the term New York Giants fan very loosely. I have not paid attention to the Giants football NFL career, New York Giants NFL career in probably 10 years. But my point stands that just depends on who you are, what you did, and how short Hollywood's memory is. And, you know, if you know the right people, you can come back. Applications, like, because I haven't had much of a look at his appointments at 1600. Yeah. Yeah. Which, I mean, that's one slightly good isn't the word I want to use. That's one slightly beneficial with a asterisk on it. A beneficial thing about this station that's happening in the world is that we're learning more and more who people really are based on what they're given and what they accept and what they take to sit at that table. I had to watch somebody who I thought for sure thought this dude was a dummy, but because his father-in-law and mother-in-law are influential and wealthy friends of him, get up there and toe the line and say nice things about him and stump for his fitness exam. yeah, you learn more and more about folk. So that's the one thing. But yeah, Lawrence Taylor had nothing. That didn't have anything to do with that. I was just stating that like Hollywood and the press and the media, and now whatever's going on there, they'll forgive a lot of shit. Like they will absolutely look the other way or not bring things up. It just depends on what sells newspapers and what makes the cheese in charge happy, I guess. But I think that anything that's called presidential the president should be able to also do it. That should be the measuring stick if you want to have a presidential fitness test again. You know, you should have to be able to do the things on the test as well if you're the president. That's just me. I wouldn't hold a Famine Studios dart league standards. I'm the drizzling shits at darts. You wouldn't catch me making a presidential darts thing because I can't fucking play darts. That's me. It's just me. Nope. Yep. See, I did miss something. I'm already liking the lore of this. Like in my head, I built up just now. I was like, okay, so this was clearly like an old military footlocker that's now on the wall being used for a shelving unit. And so it's like, okay, maybe when this guy came back from fighting in the rebellion or working for the Empire or whatever, he never wanted to use that stuff again, but he was a cook, so he hung up his footlocker on the wall and decided to use it to hold cooking things and spices and whatnot. Added it as part of his decor as a reminder. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. That's a reasonable amount of, like, just a little bit of world building there. Maybe that's why he doesn't get robbed, because people know that he does indeed stay strapped. He keeps that thing on him. Oh. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. That is one of those things that's like, if I focus to it and put the time in on that specific aspect, I do get a little more of that. What time is it? What time? 4:23. Copper. No, do I have bronze or brass? I gotta have bronze, but I think it's a paint marker. Bronze. Yep. I'm just turning all these little panels. See people in Audi stream. Hey, have a good one. Thank you for coming in. Oh, Always appreciate it when friends stop in. Cool. And I'll have to put like some stickers, travel tags, things like that on there. That can be done pretty easy with Mod Podge and some stickers or things that already exist from the world. You can go to the library and print out on LaserJet. Make sure it's a LaserJet printer, not an inkjet, or it will bleed. But LaserJet's very handy. So I want to know about how high. There we go. This is not the cook, but that's a good height. So I will just pop that in there, drop that there, so I know where it's going to be. And I think I'm going to glue that in right now. There you go. Okay. Yeah, it's level too. Okay, yeah. See? Doesn't look level, but it is. Oh, it's the shadow. Yep, cool. So we got a little shelf there. And the stove will be in there. All right, where's that little thing that I wanted to put? Here we go. I'm gonna sand this down some more. Scotch braid it a little bit. Do a little bit of sanding. Maybe ding it up with an X-Acto knife to make it look like really used. Okay. First things first, that'll get a coating of crappy black paint. Probably gonna need a few coatings just because how shiny and smooth this is. This plastic is poured with metallic flake in it, so it's hard to immediately get the shine off with sanding and Scotch braiding. So I'm probably gonna have to cover it in paint a couple of times, each time letting it dry. That's all good. It's all good. What I am gonna do is probably gonna hop off here now, come back on later. I wanna get some stuff done, have something to eat. And yeah, I will probably pop into Audi's stream to say hello to everybody and give him a hard time for, you know, milking his departure. But I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I will catch you guys later. Famine Studios on Famine Studios X on Instagram, Famine Studios X on Patreon, Ko-Fi, everywhere. Be well, guys. Too sweet me.